I remember my life when I used to always start a Monday with super clean blow-dried hair, and now I think I'm gonna go put in some dry shampoo because I just finished a Zoom meeting where I feel like my hair just looks so flat, or maybe it's just Zoom that makes my hair look worse. I don't know. Anyway, today's video is a what I eat in a day because you have requested it, and it's easy for me because today being Monday, I had big plans to film a fashion-based video this weekend, and it didn't happen because I just wanted to spend Sunday hanging with Gigi and just being a mom in my comfy dress, you know, comfy house dress. So that's exactly what I did, and so I don't have anything to post, and I feel bad just leaving big gaps between videos on my channel, but unfortunately, it is kind of what you're here for right now in this phase of my life. My priorities just are elsewhere, and everything is on survival mode, and where I'm sort of checking in where I have, you know, a bit of time and that creative energy that I want to spend often just tends to go to making jewelry. So I just launched a new line, and I want to thank you for your orders, and my energy has kind of been there, and unfortunately once all of that happens, you know, I go through the list of my attorney work. I'm back at work full-time now, spending time with Gigi, the time that I want to be spending, and then keeping my business going. There's just not a lot of time left over to create content, and I've always been good at juggling, but sometimes, you know, you just are left nothing to juggle with. So that's kind of where I've been, but this is kind of a fun video for me to film because it just feels like I'm capturing just unedited real life and just what I'm actually eating. Case in point, what I'm about to show you. But I thought you might want to see my outfit first because, you know, it's Monday. So this is my uniform. I have leggings on. These are from Athleta. I bought a size up because you need to buy clothes that fit you after you've had a baby, and I feel like I waited for a while and all my leggings just felt so tight, so I just sized up, and so they feel so comfy, which is lovely. And then I try and dress up my top half a little bit. So this is a new shirt. It's from Naked Cashmere, and it's a linen cashmere blend. Linen is all the rage right now, and I'm loving it because I feel like I can snag some sales. This was on clearance, and there's just a lot more options than there usually are, and I just really liked this color, so I'm wearing that with my Luxe line convertible pearls. So this is just the necklace worn short with the bracelet detached, and then I have my new hoop earrings, which are the convertible earrings as well, with a white freshwater pearl, but you can remove this part and wear the hoops on their own. It sounds like we have an Amazon delivery, which is also a frequent occurrence, because I don't have time with everything that I'm juggling to go and buy things in person a lot of the time for our essentials. I feel like I look like I'm wearing a lot of blush, but sometimes that's actually what looks pretty good in meetings, is like a little bit more of a rosy cheek, so that's why. I've been really liking Laura Geller, so I'll link all of these kind of random things below, largely because I haven't had time to film that kind of more fashion-based update. I think it's fun if I just link those things down below before we jump right into food and continue to focus on that for the rest of this video. So our kitchen is a mess because Sunday night, again, we did not feel like doing that sort of thing, so it will have to be dealt with later. But this is what I mean when I say this is real life and we don't know how some things are going to turn out. So this is a new bread recipe. I'm going to put you on top of the air fryer. You still see kind of how's the background. Maybe I'll put some like pretty strawberries. So I washed these up, and what you've missed so far is me drinking coffee and eating some of those strawberries. So this is my thermos, and I use this every single day because one big change for being a mom is I used to drink my coffee right away, and now my husband brings me coffee, and I'm so excited to see the coffee coming in when I'm usually breastfeeding Gigi in the morning, and I think like, oh, I'm so excited to have this coffee, and then I don't know what happens, but time evaporates and I don't actually have any of the coffee for like an hour and a half, and so this keeps it warm so that it's still enjoyable and I don't have to make a new coffee. I can still drink the coffee that he made me. So this is our drip coffee. I'll link the coffee beans that we buy down below because they're pretty affordable. I feel like people spend crazy money on coffee sometimes, but I do like a good coffee, so I try and find that healthy middle, and I have that with half and half and about, I would say, a teaspoon, so not very much, of maple syrup, just to kind of smooth all of the flavors out. And it's a terrible tip in that once you start doing it, you'll never want to stop and not have it because it tastes so good. I just, yeah, I like my coffee with a little bit of maple syrup now. I feel like during a lot of the life of this channel, I drank it totally unsweetened, but that is not the case anymore. All right, so I baked 2 loaves of bread, and I will link where I got this recipe from. It's from Instagram. I just came upon it, and she was, this wonderful mom was eating this slice of bread and it just looked so good. And she called it a soft sandwich bread, which is a bit different from the more kind of crusty things that I've otherwise made before. And I have a fear right now that it did not turn out as soft as I want it to be for 2 reasons. You can see the top of it is like kind of a little bit of a dark brown. It's not burnt or anything, but our oven is so hot. It runs so hot that even doing a lesser temperature, so I baked at 325 instead of 350, still somehow manages to over bake things, so that's not good. And then the other thing that I'm not sure about is I used an organic bread flour instead of the all-purpose flour that I think she said she used, which may also produce a disastrous result. So I'm going to cut into it now, and we're just going to be honest about the result and see what happens. So right away it looks yummy, but it's like maybe not as aerated as hers was. But the texture still looks okay. Like this feels soft and squishy. It doesn't feel hard. So I think maybe the problem with the bread flour is it's heavier, you know, like kind of more coarse than the flour she would have used. And so I didn't get all that great of a rise out of it, even though I did proof it twice. What's beautiful about this recipe, it's a very low effort recipe. So I'm going to toast a piece up. I really love my bread toasted, so I think that will help as well. Yeah, you can see it looks good, but it's a little bit more dense than it should be. It should be more of like a rounded kind of loaf, a little bit higher with a little bit more aeration. But I'm somewhat feeling confident it will nonetheless be edible. And what I wish I could convey to you is, even though I may have messed it up, the smell of it is so good. And what I think this really might be is a brioche in disguise that's less sweet, because that's what it smells like. And it does have an egg in it and some milk to create that softness. And so even though I missed out on a lot of that softness, I think I'll still have the flavor, where this is like a little bit of like a brioche like bread. So that's really fun. I'm excited for that. So, you know, I feel like the first time you make things that have very important, like specific measuring quantities, it may not turn out exactly how you want it to turn out, especially if you're like me and more of an artist than, you know, a lawyer or a true chef in the kitchen. I tend to just add a dash of this, a dash of that, and we'll see how it turns out. And sometimes that doesn't work out the best for baking. But I'm excited to wake up on a Monday morning and have something new to try. My grand plan this weekend otherwise was to make some blender muffins, the half-baked harvest recipe, but these bananas are still a little bit too yellow or green for me to feel, of course they're yellow, they're too green still, for me to feel like it was really gonna turn out very good. So I skipped that and decided to randomly, on a whim, make this instead. All right. Give this a taste test. So here's what it looks like. It feels very light. So even though it looks heavy, not super aerated, the weight of the bread is light, which I think is the intended result. The flavor is so good. Because it has a little bit of milk, a little bit of butter, a little bit of sugar, and an egg in it. It has more flavor than, you know, you would typically get from a white bread, but it is not as moist as it should be. So don't use bread flour or anything kind of like more coarse and artisanal in it. It wasn't super coarse, I promise. Like that would be really dumb if I had done that. It was still like reasonably finely milled, but I think not enough to really produce the result that I wanted. But the flavor is, this bread, especially with it being like a little bit drier, it's gonna make the most incredible French toast because it already has that like kind of like breakfasty like flavor to it, and I think it's just gonna soak up that French toast batter and it's gonna be so good. So I might actually freeze some of it and end up using it for like a French toast casserole next weekend, and that will make me very happy. And then maybe I'll bake up like a new batch that's with the right flour. That's the plan. All right, well, not a bad start to the week. So we'll keep going and I will show you everything that I eat today. Is at the office, so it's just me today, and leftovers are convenient, so I'm going to try and make something that looks vaguely appealing looking. Normally I would mix this all up, but we're gonna be a little more bougie, and I just have some lettuce. I don't like too much salad. I'm not much of a salad person, but everything else we're gonna do is what is gonna make it yummy, along with these two key leftover items. And one thing that I think you should order online, especially if you like Greek food. So this is whipped feta with some sour cream added to make it creamier. I know, spoiler, and some olive oil. You can see a little bit of that over here, kind of looking a bit fridge cold, but this gets super creamy once it gets to room temperature. So it's kind of a fun recipe because you just throw a whole block of feta, a good glug of olive oil, and I'd say maybe like 2 spoons of sour cream into food processor or blender, but food processor is easier. One of those little ones is perfect. And just whip it up for quite a while until you get the right texture. And it's super yummy. It's really good on pasta. It's good in a bowl like this. And I served it as a little bit of a sauce when I first made what is now these leftovers, which look honestly kind of embarrassing to share on the internet. It looks so bad in the Ziploc bag. But this is just zucchini with lamb meatballs. And the lamb meatballs are just some bread soaked in milk, a pound of lamb, some cilantro, green onion, and then I use some of this Trader Joe's zatar seasoning blend. I'm not sure if they still have this anymore. They probably do. Added in, and it was a tray bake in the oven at 400 for, I don't know, about 20 minutes, and it turned out really good. To make this kind of tasty instead of slimy again, I'm going to air fry it. I think that will produce a better result than just microwaving. These are pickled onions. They're a couple of days old. I like to let them marinate on the counter first. They never taste all that great coming straight out of the fridge. I won't give a recipe for this because you should just go check out Terry's page. She's so great. I really have gotten a lot of good food ideas that I don't really use the recipe. I just use her techniques and ideas for just really easy, tasty, healthy meals. So this is her classic pickled red onion. I think she just leaves hers on the counter, and I see why, because it doesn't taste as good when it comes out of the fridge, but I want it to last for longer, so I do fridge it against her instructions. And instead of dried oregano, I used my own homegrown fresh oregano. More on that later. Then I think any kind of salad bowl has to have tomatoes. I love cherry tomatoes. These ones are really good. And then this is my little hack for you for a bowl. This is so good on pasta, like in a red pasta sauce, or in a rice bowl or a salad bowl. How good do these look? The oil it comes in is really tasty, a little spicy, lemony, herby. Great base for salad dressing. So I'm going to spoon some of these over, and then I'll probably drizzle a little bit over that oil once the leftovers come out of the air fryer. These are so good, and I've definitely had, you know, something similar from Greek restaurants that has more of a tomato-y base, but I feel like this is a little bit more versatile for committing to the size of this can. That's about good. I have my onions in there, and looks like this is about ready. There you go. That looks better, doesn't it? So time to spoon that over, and finished this yummy looking Greek bowl. Not too bad for leftovers, hey? Because I feel like I am the source of all of Gigi's nutrients. I try and get at least, you know, a good amount of vegetables every day at lunch. So time to spoon over some of that yummy whipped feta, and you'll see it looks like definitely more solid when it comes out of the fridge, but as those meatballs warm it up, it's gonna melt into more of like a yummy sauce. Ta-da! That is what that looks like. All right, lunchtime. I'm gonna give this a little bite so you can watch my reaction, see if it's horrible. The bread and milk solution, so it's just like one slice of bread, makes my meatballs super, super moist. If I'd had some dill or maybe some toasted cumin seeds, I think it would have taken the flavor even more over the top. The beans are so creamy. They're really tasty. Also, side note, I just got these sunglasses a few days ago and I'm pretty happy with how they look. What do you think? I usually buy a new pair about every year if I'm being really honest, but not like every single year. I just feel like I wear them so much, and I really don't go with the trends when it comes to sunglasses. Pretty much all the ones I own are exactly the same with very, very slight differences. So these are Prada, but I love how subtle the logo is on it. And they're super light, which is actually really nice. I think they might be the lightest ones that I currently own. Just finished work and we're catching up on our reading, that is. Yeah, I'm gonna eat this peach. I love an after work snack, and there is no better summer snack than a peach. You want to touch it? Yeah, it's a little bit fuzzy, but not too much. These are from Trader Joe's. We got a case of them. They're actually really good. I guess we're starting to get interested in food, right? Only a few weeks till your 6-month birthday. Yeah, would you like some steak? Yeah. Little Gigi. Hello again. It's later now. I got changed. Sometimes I like to do that at the end of a workday, just change into a comfy dress if it's warm out, and today it is. And so I'm gonna cook away in the kitchen. It's just nice to be in something that's like a little bit lighter and, I don't know, a little bit less work feeling, I guess. So I've got this little summer dress on and it's time to make some dinner. So this dinner is a little bit inspired by Cheesecake Factory, but I don't know, maybe 20% more authentic. I'm not following a recipe, so I'm sure it's not truly authentic, but I'm gonna make pollo saltimbocca, and there is something kind of similar on the Trader Joe's menu where they serve a breaded chicken with prosciutto and some pasta. So of course I'm gonna make some pasta too. This is salad dressing, don't let it distract you. I really like this pasta from Trader Joe's. It's super flavorful, and so if you make something that, you know, doesn't have like, that's not very sauce forward in terms of having a, you know, super flavorful cheesy or creamy sauce, I think it works really, really well. So this just has a simple wine sauce, so it'll be perfect for that. It's not going to create a ton of sauce either. So I have some thinly pounded chicken breast here. I'm not going to focus on that too much because I know it really bothers some of you to see raw meat. This meat is not raw. This is prosciutto. Key ingredient, I'm about to show you the most important ingredient though, in my opinion, for this recipe, which is outside, so keep watching if you want to see what that is. And so with this, I always try and do some kind of vegetable as well. So I was pausing on it. I was either going to do some zucchini added to the noodles, which would be good, but I have these avocados and they are overripe, honestly, so I really like doing a little tomato and avocado salad with a little bit of greens, and One of my favorite hacks right now is this little bottle of dressing, or for making dressing. Has little measurements on the side, and they just make enough dressing for about a week. So we're on the sort of tail end of that. And all this is in here is some Dijon mustard, some finely chopped garlic, raw garlic. I know it's like, if you like that, you have to have it in dressings, otherwise they taste really, really bland. Salt and pepper. And then olive oil and vinegar. And for vinegar, I actually like to be a bit weird, and I do both balsamic and sherry vinegar. I'll show you the ones that I have. I can actually link this one for you because it's from Amazon. It's a good price to quality ratio, because balsamic vinegar can get really, really pricey, and if you use a lot of it for salad dressing, that can add up. And then this is our favorite cherry vinegar. My husband especially is very partial to this, so I like to put it in all the dressings that I make. And then, oh, another little equipment tip for you. It's a green pan, so it's a ceramic pan rather than, you know, good old non-stick that is maybe not supposed to be the best for you. And I really like this size. You can see compared to my hand, it's definitely larger than your average frying pan, and it works so great for doing things like this. So like a chicken piccata or this saltimbocca dish, it's just really great. So over here I have my pile of strawberries. I don't know if you caught that behind me. If I have time, I'm going to dip these in some chocolate for a little after dinner treat for us, but we'll see how I do as I move along. What do you think, Hee? Do you like your outdoor domain? Yeah, I think that's a yes. Yeah, little cutie. Okay, so here we are outside. I just really love this garden right now. The only thing is, by the time I finish with my busy days, I feel like it's always just kind of too late to sit out here for dinner. So I've been trying to make a point, like I said earlier, of sitting outside for lunch. I didn't show you earlier is my little budding herb garden. So, you know, we have our little farm now. I've got my sage going on here, and I'm gonna steal some of these leaves, and each piece of chicken that I have is going to need about 3. So we're going to hope that it's going to grow some more leaves for me, because I'm going to steal quite a bit of it right now. But I just love how tender these are compared to store-bought sage. So planted a seed, of the idea for this dinner, so I'm kind of excited to make it. And I'm going to take some of these smaller leaves as well, because you want to sort of strike the right balance with the sage of not adding so much of it that that's like all that you taste. So something like this is going to be just about right. And I'm actually going to fry these up in a little bit of butter first, because I want to flavor that butter versus just having it flavor the chicken, if that makes any sense. So that'll be my little bit of a different technique that I like to do for this recipe. And then just for little show-off purposes, right now, surviving, I have some rosemary. I'm sure I've mentioned to you all, if you've been watching for a while before, how I'm a plant killer. We have jalapenos here, which the bugs really seem to really like those leaves. So I don't know how it's going to do, but I'm feeling hopeful because it's actually just about to flower, so that's kind of fun. We might have some homemade guacamole with homegrown jalapenos at some point. How cool would that be? And then over here, surviving but not thriving, I have some parsley, mint, which is doing pretty well, and maybe killing the other things, I'm not sure. And then I have some fresh oregano, and I think it actually looks pretty happy, so that makes me happy as well. Drama! So I opened the chicken after having a long discussion with the butcher about what I'm doing with the chicken, and that I would like it to be thinly pounded, and can he do that? Because otherwise I can do it at home. Does that look thinly pounded to you? I don't think so. I think it looks like he cut up this piece, and I don't know about that piece. Stabbed it? What on earth happened? I don't even know. But fortunately, I do have a meat mallet somewhere, so I guess we're just gonna pound it at home. Isn't that just the sound of heaven? The smell of it certainly is as the butter browns. If you have the time and the patience for it, I think this step is worth it. You don't have to take it super far so that it's crispy, but it'll flavor your butter and then really make the flavor of the whole dish really, really even. And I think it improves the texture of the sage as well, so that it's not so, I don't know how to explain it, like chewing on a leaf, right? Okay, so this is what it's gonna look like in terms of procedure. So I have seasoned both chicken breasts with salt and pepper. Then I overlaid my little crispy sage leaves, and there's that wonderful brown sage butter left in the pan, if you can see that in our horrible lighting. And then I just overlaid the prosciutto, and you want to be pretty generous with the prosciutto. Now, you can cook this as is, but it's going to fall apart a little bit more than if you go ahead and flour it. So I have my pile of flour here, so I'm going to go ahead and lift that up once both of them are done and flour both of them, and then go ahead and fry them up in the butter. Alright, so because my butcher apparently hates me, this was just completely falling apart. So I had to flour it, or sorry, I had to roll it before I floured it, because it was basically like chicken lace, like totally falling apart. You'll be able to see in a second. And I don't have any kitchen twine. It's gonna be tasty. All the flavors are gonna be there. It's like kitchen disasters. If I serve this on a cooking competition show on the Food Network, I would most definitely get eliminated right now. But it's also not my fault, because the result of me pounding the already weirdly cut chicken, where one of the breasts was sort of like cut lengthwise and then the other one was stabbed in the middle, meant that as soon as I pounded it, it just completely fell apart. So what I'm going to do to make sure I don't poison us is I'm going to end up finishing this in the oven. So I'm going to fry it off for another couple minutes, turning it so that each side gets brown. And then the inside will still probably be a little bit raw. What I'm going to do to help with that is I'm going to splash my rosé wine on top. And as soon as you add a liquid, it really helps to cook meat through, all the way through. And then baking it in the oven for probably about 10 minutes is going to do the trick to ensure safety. But unfortunately, it is not going to be as beautiful as it should be. You normally have the thin prosciutto that gets all crispy and nice. And it just presents really beautifully. Fortunately, it's just us. And so in the end, it'll still be tasty, and flip side of it, it will probably be slightly, ever so slightly more moist. I had something else. I knew I had something else to tell you about these salads. So these brown tomatoes, which are called Kumato from Trader Joe's, are incredible. They're so good. They're the best tomatoes that are not, you know, heirloom, homegrown, farmer's market tomatoes that I have been able to find. So if you haven't tried them yet, highly, highly recommend. Okay, last up before I shove this in the oven, I used that rosé that I think I showed you earlier. Or if I didn't, it was too good of a bottle of rosé to be really using for this, but it was the end of the bottle, so just very convenient. So I'm going to bring this up to a simmer and then put it in a 400-degree oven for 10 minutes and hope for the best. So while we cross our fingers for our chicken in the oven, I'm trying not to check on it, I'm going to go ahead and make the chocolate strawberries as fast as I can. So let's see how we do. I've made so much of this chocolate sauce in my time. So this is just my microwave chocolate sauce. I have 70% dark chocolate and a knob of butter. I think you can use coconut oil for this as well. If I'm making a sundae, I actually use cream instead, a dash of cream, because that keeps it more liquidy once it hits the cold ice cream. This, on the contrary, I actually want it to solidify as much as possible so that you get more of that kind of like chewiness to the dark chocolate. Because we're doing it through this, you know, kind of hack technique, it's not going to be as crunchy as when you buy chocolate strawberries from like Godiva, but it's still incredibly delicious, and I know what's going in it, which makes me really happy, and the Godiva ones are really expensive. So you know, this is not going to be perfect. If you were doing this for Valentine's Day, you would do it over bain marie and you would use bigger strawberries, but this is just a quick, nice little, you know, Monday treat for us for after dinner. So I'm going to microwave this. Big tip, it'll take you probably about a minute total, but you don't want to do it all at once or it just becomes a mess. So do 20 seconds at a time, give it a stir, give it another 20 seconds until everything is fully melted and ready to dip. This is basically good on anything. Sometimes I like to do a cut up mango with some chocolate sauce. Like I said, ice cream, your finger, a banana. So good. Look how smooth that is. So easy. There's no excuse for that stuff out of a bottle. Like I just can't when people do that because this is so easy. So all you're gonna do is go ahead and dip. And it would be better to use a more like deep and small ramekin to get a better dip, honestly, but this is not bad. You can always do this, and I do recommend double dipping. You will get a much better strawberry if you do that, in my opinion. Moment of truth is coming soon for the chicken. I'm going to pull it out of the oven, but before that I'm just showing you the pasta as it cooks. I'm going to drain it shortly, but I've reserved some pasta water because I'm going to use probably a third of this. I never use everything that I reserve, and add some Parmesan cheese. And if it's looking a little dry, maybe a little butter and olive oil as well, but it really shouldn't need it. It'll be our simple pasta, and there's going to be some, you know, lovely butter sage sauce that's going to be drizzled over the whole thing, so we don't really need it to be super saucy. All right, so we have our nice green pasta here, and I'm going to pick the prettier of these two to show you how I'm going to serve it, which sort of speaks for itself, but there it is. And it's cooked perfectly on the inside, so I'm really pleased with how that turned out for having to roll with the punches. And I also think the sauce turned out pretty perfectly. Now you want to be really careful with the handle. It's like a branding iron. Should really use an oven glove for this. And so it's, you know, more of a sauce than like a thick gravy. If you add more flour, you'll get a thicker result, or you can always reduce it a little bit more at the end. So here is what the final result looks like, and I think it looks pretty good. You know what? It smells even better, and the smell of it is making up for any mishaps. All right, I'm in my Valentine's Day pajamas. I have my Valentine's Day chocolate covered strawberries in June. And we're gonna taste test one of them together. Oh, I forgot earlier, the way you really wanna do this for sure is the silpat, and I'll show you why. It's not the end of the world because I'm just gonna scrape the chocolate off the plate, but you end up losing it if you don't have something that's non-stick. So you either need some wax paper or you need a silpat. Pretty basic, but I made these while the pasta was cooking, so I'm still gonna take some credit for getting this done. And so thank you for sharing in today with me and following along on everything I ate in a day. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you in my next installment.